Same thing. Everybody who came to our website in January is a cohort. Everybody who came in February, everybody who came in March, and this is what we compare against. We compare them against each other. I'm going to go through that. This is like, if you want to get money, anybody you talk to who's gone out and gotten capital, I remember Mike Evans going, everyone he talked to, they'd be like, what's your cohort analysis? What's your cohort analysis? Everybody kept asking that, and he's like, oh, I better go figure out what that means. You know, and people that we've had up here, and people I've talked to, you know, some of the folks over at Light Bank and stuff, I mean, this is what people are really focused on. Fred Wilson, he's a big VC in New York, does some good blogging. A lot of people are really focused on cohort analysis because it shows how well that you're doing over time. So you have the people who came in January, February, March, April, May, June. 1 month after they came in, how many of them are still your customers? 2 months, that's what this chart means. So what you notice is that churn stabilizes in month 4. By the way, if you do cohort analysis, your churn will stabilize in month 4. In retail, we have the rule of 3. 3 months, after 3 months, everything stabilizes. It's a pretty common effect. If it doesn't, you're doing something really bad, because almost everybody gets stabilization after 3 months. Number 2, you can see that over time we're starting to improve here on your first month churn. So you're doing things that are probably working well. We'll get into what those things should be in a moment, but this is a great way. Cohort analysis is a great way to know if you're improving at keeping your customers. So how do you really do this? Number 1, you determine the actions that repeat customers perform. So you need to be able to study what people are doing in your system and what do repeat customers do. Let me give you an example. Let's take Flickr, since that's something that came up earlier and everybody knows what it is. Well, you first sign up for an account. Then you log in. If you never log in, the repeat customers log in. Then you upload pictures. Repeat customers upload pictures. Then repeat customers do what? They tag them. And then they share them. Those are all steps that people go through in using Flickr. So then you create interventions that drive those customers to perform those actions. So if somebody doesn't log in, you remind them to log in. If somebody doesn't tag their photos, you remind them to tag their photos. You guys get this stuff all the time. It's often called personalization. But you get this all the time where somebody's trying to drive you towards good behavior, because that good behavior keeps you as a customer and keeps you paying. Create a flow, which is a funnel. They just call them flows with customer retention. I have no idea why, but that's just the way it works. And look at how you change churn. See if that's having a positive or negative effect. And then measure the results. And you keep experimenting until you get the results that you want. It's basically A/B testing, analytics, and personalization. So, this is like for a site for wine recommendation site, just because I'm a wino. So, you have people sign in, they search for wines, they review wines, and they share their wine. It's similar to the Flickr thing. So, if somebody doesn't sign in, you send them a sign-in email. An email reminding, hey, thanks for joining our thing, log into your account. Then, if they sign in and they've never searched for wines, because we know that that's what all great customers do, we immediately send them to the search page after login, because we want them to start searching so that they keep paying us. Then, if they've never reviewed a wine, we put up like a banner ad on the top that says, hey, review some wines, click here. And then after they review wine, if they've never shared them, we have a little pop-up that says, hey, enter your friend's email addresses right now, and we'll share your wine list with them. Right? All that stuff just drove them towards paying you. So this is the thing that creates all the difference in customer retention, is driving people towards behaviors that give them satisfaction and usage of your product. And you're using cohort analysis to measure whether or not those behaviors whether or not your interventions are actually working. And this is one of the most important things that you can do in your business, because this is the highest margin. This will generate more revenue than worrying about the top constantly. Not that you don't have to worry about customer acquisition, but if you don't do this, your customer acquisition is for naught, because you're not doing what you need to keep your customers. So it's a high leverage thing to do. Questions so far? Yeah.
You were just referred to as a game layer on top of what you need, such as like on YouTube the status bar, where they're driving to complete your profile, or like Farmville, where they're driving to come back.
Right. I've never heard of that, but that's a great concept. Yeah, I will. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, we didn't hear that.
Oh, he said, have I ever heard of it as referred to a game layer? Like on LinkedIn when they constantly pester you to repeat your profile, or on Farmville when they keep trying to get you to go back to keep clicking. By the way, I saw this thing that's bizarre. I just have to share this. It's like going way off and everything. There's a book called Farmville for Dummies. Is that an oxymoron or what? I'm sorry, somebody had a question over here? Yeah.
Yeah. My question is basically where is the gray zone between acquiring the customers and keeping them focused versus where it becomes an annoyance for the possible customer acquisition?
Most of this all great websites are doing this to you all the time and you don't even know it. It's just like landing pages. You have no idea that you're on page A or page B, right? You don't know. So all this stuff is unobtrusive for the most part because, like I say, it's a banner ad. I mean, pop-ups, that can be annoying, right? So you have to be like really careful. And that's why I'm suggesting, and these are only just like examples, I'm suggesting that's one that you do when they're almost at the last step, right? If you do that in the beginning, yeah, it's really annoying. So, and what you're going to do is you're going to do A/B test it. I'll try a pop-up, I'll try a banner ad and see which does it. Now the reason why you get a lot of advertising when they get you hate that where it floats over and you have to close it, the reason why you keep seeing that is that people click on that stuff. It's actually effective. I hate it. I leave sites when I see it, but if it wasn't effective, nobody would do it, right? But there are people out there, whoa, and they click on it, so it works. Any other questions?
Do they convert? Do people click on
Yeah. Dude, in marketing, like especially these ads are like a lot of big companies, it's all numbers, right? Like marketing is all about numbers. So yes, they convert or nobody would do it, right? Because these aren't just like, and there's a lot of these things. And if you look at the products, they're like Tide, and so they're big. So people do that. That's why like the interstitial movies that you see on these sites where you gotta wait 15 seconds before something happens, that's because that sells stuff.
I would say one point there, though, is most of the time these are on media sites, and they are not good for the media sites, they're good for the advertisers.
Right.
In this case, you're doing something, hopefully, that is good for your product, and so you don't have that same dynamic on that.
Right. Did you guys hear that in the back what he said? Mostly those annoying ads are on media sites, which isn't good for the media site, but it's great for the advertiser, but that's the price of free content in my mind. But this is on your site, and this should be good for your customer. Because the truth is, if somebody doesn't actually want to do a wine review, they're not going to be your customer very long, because that's what your site's about. It's a wine reviewing site. So if they don't actually ever do a review, they're not going to keep paying you. So I'm going to move on. So you do these cohort flows, and then you look at the sign in, share, review, and you start looking at how you're improving, whether or not those interventions work. Sometimes they work really well, sometimes they don't. But again, it's just like A/B testing. You just keep testing until you know what works. Sometimes a pop-up works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes an email works, sometimes it doesn't. I always suggest to people, and this is where Ashmore and I totally disagree, don't use email except for when somebody logged in, because to me, you're one level of indirection away. Because in the email, if you get an email, somebody has to do something in the email to get to the site. So if at all possible, do it on the site, so they're right there. It's just more powerful. And in my experience, it works better. I mean, actual mileage may vary. Try everything, see what works, and measure. Because marketing is just measurement. You don't know. It's as you learn about lean startups and all that, it's all just like making guesses, measuring whether or not you're right. Sometimes you're totally wrong, sometimes you're totally right. But if you just take this scientific theory and work through it, you'll get somewhere and you'll be a lot smarter for it.